Hello, Chitra.
Hello.
Good to have you with us today at the Vidphone show.
Thank you
And
so
a
much.
very happy Women's Month to you and all of the wonderful women and also men who would be joining us. We just thought we would start this month with something like that. So we have been doing the Vidphone show for quite some time where we speak to a lot of entrepreneurs, founders, about their lives, their journeys, the challenges they face. And basically, it's a collaborative model, is what we would say, just to learn about how maybe entrepreneurs can collaborate with each other, use tools that maybe you are developing something that might, work for another entrepreneur or she might be developing something. So the idea of the Vidphone show is that just to understand your journey and everything. But this time, I thought, why not, keep it focused and we can dedicate the Wednesdays to women for this month and speak to some of you
Women
all,
founders.
women
Yeah,
founders. Yeah, women.
in fact, this month is all about women. So there are
Yes,
so
yes,
many events happening for women, by
exactly,
women. So
exactly.
it's
Yes,
fun
yeah,
talking to
that's
other
what.
women and sharing our journeys and
I
understanding.
know, I know, I know. So even otherwise, we call a lot of women, but I just thought let's make it a little more special this time and just see because women always find they find a safe space when they are with another group of women. Like it's kind of a safe space for them, and the background you come from, and what so you are into mentoring, sales. Nandini comes from, health tech, edutech. So I just thought, it would be an interesting conversation around, tech
Yes, just different
mentoring and everything.
perspectives on the same topic.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. So we'll wait for a few minutes before, we
Sure.
have ads. We have about the and we'll
We have
start.
just
So
a
we'll
minute.
be, yeah.
So
So we'll
she's
be
not.
live across. No, she'll just be. She hasn't joined us yet, so she'll be joining. So we'll be live across the Vidphone channels. So, we'll be, so that's also the idea, so that a lot of people, even if they miss this, they can, sit back and watch this later and can interact.
You've joined recently, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. It's been about a month, a little lesser than a month.
From?
Yeah.
You joined from?
I, I was at CWE before. It's called Catalyst for Women Entrepreneurship. So I've worked with a lot of women the last 4 years. So, to help them start up, scale up to a variety of across industries, across sectors. So, and then I joined. So we have some people joining. Hi, Megha. Hi, Purva. You can interact with us through the comments. Happy to have you guys here with us. We'll be starting shortly.
All right.
Hi,
Hello.
Nandini. Hi, Jagat.
Hi.
Hi, Jagat. Hi, Nandini.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah. Good evening.
Good
Yeah.
evening.
Yeah, thank you, Nandini, for joining us. Thanks, Jagat. We were just, Chitra and I were just discussing, and I was just sharing with Chitra how we thought, we have been doing the Vidphone show at Vidphone for some time, but I was just telling her how I thought let's dedicate this month, the Wednesdays to women founders, even others, but Wednesdays only women we talk to for this month. So
Good
I
idea.
was just telling her that, and yeah, Jagat, you want to start? You are the only men here with us, so you
There are
Right.
only
So I
men
just
moderators. There are no
I'm just gonna say hello and get the hell out of here very soon to leave it over to all of you wonderful ladies. So, very
yeah,
quickly, first of all, thanks Ayushree. She's
yeah,
joined us recently and coming from a background of women entrepreneurship,
yeah,
a lot of work with the CWE, and that's how we got connected. And I thought, and of course, she brought up the idea that this is, Women's Month effectively. So
yeah,
why not? And I said, why don't you continue some of that good work? And hence, I think all of this is thanks to Ayushri putting this together.
yeah.
Thanks, Chitra and Nandini, for, stepping up and, kind of kickstarting this whole thing. We're going to have a lot more of this. So,
Yes.
that's all I want to say. I just want to keep this very short. And Nandini, good to see you there. Saw you earlier in the morning today. I
Right.
hope you have fixed everything. Everything is sorted. So I'm looking forward to watching this and over to
Yeah.
all of you. So Ayushri, yeah, over to you.
Yeah. Thanks, Jagat. Thank you so much. Yes, Nandini, hello. Chitra and I just had a quick discussion, and we are still having some of the viewers join us. So we'll just start. So thank you, Chitra and Nandini, again for doing this on such a short notice. And like I said, this is going to be a talk more about our journeys, especially for you two. How did you guys choose entrepreneurship? What has been the learnings in your specific sectors? And across sectors. I mean, I'm sure you meet a lot of people across sectors, right, in this ecosystem.
Right.
And what are the challenges you face, and you both have been in doing this for some time. So there are a lot of new entrepreneurs. What would be the takeaways? What would be the tips and tricks that you have gained from your journey for them? So, we'll just keep it very a little informal and fun and engaging. So thank you to everyone who has joined us, Purva, Megha, Chandni, for joining us this evening. And we'll start with you, Chitra. So, and anything you guys want to say before we kick off the session, or please feel free. Chitra, Nandini, anything you guys want to, share before I start asking you guys something?
Nothing to share. We'll start the discussion and then we'll take the
Yeah.
questions as they come.
Sure. Thanks, Chitra. So, Nandini, Chitra, I'll just put this question to both of you, and Chitra, maybe you can start. And so, a little bit maybe for everyone here about what you do, where you come from, and where are you at right now in your entrepreneurial journey. Maybe we can start with that and then move backwards.
Sure. So first of all, let me thank you for taking this initiative, Ayushree. In Women's Month, you are
Yeah.
the one who started with Vidphone on this show. Thank you so much for inviting both of us here. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm
Pleasure is
Chitra.
all ours to have you guys here. Yeah.
Sure, it'll be a fun discussion. So I'm sure
Yes.
the viewers are waiting for us to start off. So I'll
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
start off with a short intro. I'm Chitra Singh. I'm the founder and chief mentor at Sales Mentoring, which is a unique community because it is India's first and only community inspiring women to succeed at selling. The purpose of our community is to provide an ecosystem to enable 1 million women to sell with confidence. And this is open for all women, whether they are entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, coaches, consultants, sales professionals, the wannabe sales professionals, aspiring professionals, and so on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the idea behind starting a women's only community is that there are very few women in sales, and that's part of the problem that women don't proactively choose sales. And out of those who do, very few remain in sales because of all the misconceptions associated with selling, and also because of some realities of selling, which is to do with traveling, pressure of targets, work-life balance, and so on. So because there are so few women, I started this community to encourage and
Yeah.
mentor women to choose sales as a profession, to remain in sales, to reach leadership roles. And also, the third problem which we are addressing is as solopreneurs or entrepreneurs, the journey for all of us as founders is lonely, and for women more so because they shy away from selling. We are comfortable with tech, with process, with product, with R&D, but somehow we don't want to go out there, lead from the front and sell. And that is why
Yeah.
this community I have started in order to be a support for all those women who are struggling with being able to negotiate, who are struggling with being able to sell. This is a support and an entire ecosystem which we enable women with, so that they can move with confidence toward on their sales journey.
Yes. So thanks, Chitra. Completely agree. I think, in my work also over the last 4 years in this space, I have also seen, this is what we have found in women. They're so good in processes, everything. I mean, but when it comes to networking, I mean, they shy away a little, or, they are not that confident. Obviously, they would be good at it, but, they're just that there's some hindrance,
Yes,
something,
that's a
that stops them. So
starting problem.
it's exactly. So it's very important to have ecosystems like this where, they find a safe space. At least they start somewhere and then they move
Absolutely.
ahead. So that's a valid point, because I think networking is very, very key, right, to move. And in fact, today morning, Megha is here with us. So I was just, Megha, she's into branding and marketing, she does branding marketing. So she was also telling how women, don't take that extra effort into brand their products, or, go sell it out or tell that, yeah, I'm doing this. I mean, there's always some hindrance there. So good start. I think we'll discuss a little more about this as we go ahead. Nandini, over to you. A little bit about where are you right now, and
Yeah.
how has been
Thank you
your?
so much for inviting me here. And I am building a healthcare product. It's called Sky Doctors, and we build a digital twin of a human body and
Okay.
for better diagnosis.
Mhm.
Now, there are not many women in deep tech. So most of us are in, all other areas, but not in deep tech. But
Yeah.
deep tech is what passion. It's. I'm very passionate to build deep tech products.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of years back, I lost my mom due to a very rare medical condition, and in that process, I saw entire healthcare process how it is. I thought, there's so much of knowledge I gained from my previous experience, and I can
Yeah.
apply it here, and we can build the
Yeah.
product. That's how we started working on this product. But
Yeah.
adding to that, I think women are best in whatever you give them. Whether I call it cooking to coding, they're the best because
Yeah.
they put their heart in it.
Yes. Multitasking, right?
Right.
I think we have an edge there, and we should be proud of that edge, I'm sure. But yeah, good to know. And like you said, Nandini, a lot of less women still in the deep tech roles, and very, very good to see women like you doing some such amazing work in tech. I think we had interacted last about 3 years back when you and I were at NASCOM, and I had
Right.
learned about your product, and you had, I think, pitched in some competition where we got to know about
Yes,
your product.
because of you, I think I got selected for Sogul pitch competition worldwide. I
Yes,
think it was in US, and because of
yes.
that, we went to San Francisco and we pitched there.
Yes, yes, I remember. I remember you from there. Yeah. Lovely to know about what you are doing. And now moving on, we'll just move on. We'll come back to your journey a little more, on the learnings and everything. But Chitra, I was also thinking, so the shift to entrepreneurship is also a decision, right? I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. You don't, because everything is so stable. Like you have a job, there's stable income, security, everything. So how did you make decide, how did you decide to shift? Or like, how has been your journey? Like, did you shift from a job to an entrepreneur, or did you directly start off as an entrepreneur? So a little about that.
Yeah, so I did shift from a job after nearly 30 years in the corporate
Oh,
world. I decided to quit and become an entrepreneur.
okay.
Because while I was in the corporate world, I had started my career in banking sales. And
Okay.
like I told you earlier, there were always very
Yeah.
few women, both in
Women.
banking sales. And
Yeah.
before, prior
Yeah.
to my MBA, I was in
Yeah.
Johnson Johnson as a medical rep. All through
Yeah.
my career, I saw so few women
Yeah.
at the table and so few women as leaders. And that's when
True.
I realized that I had to be the change I want to see. I wanted to make a difference. But while I was in the corporate world, my impact was limited to people in my team or maximum to people in my organization. And
True.
that made me decide to quit and start a community so that I could create and multiply impact and reach
Yeah.
out to more women and encourage them to choose sales as a profession and position it as a profession of
Yeah.
pride and honor, as well as respect for women, because people don't believe sales is a viable profession for women, and
True.
somehow it's not
True.
considered a respectable profession for
Yeah.
women. And the
Yeah.
idea is to elevate sales itself and position it as a high visibility, high revenue
True.
generating role where you can definitely make a huge difference to the top line as well as to the bottom line. And
True.
so get the recognition and the value you deserve in the organization. If you, of course,
Yeah.
do well at sales, and like Nandini said, women do well almost in every single role because we have to work twice as hard to prove ourselves to be even as good, and that's why we do justice or more than justice to all
Yeah.
our roles. So that's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
inspired me to start the community, and it's been a year and a half journey, which of its ups and downs. And now we have crossed 800 members, and I have 15 mentors with me, mostly women, who also believe
Oh,
in the same philosophy
good.
that we need to encourage women to sell, because sales is not only a skill you need in a corporate, it's a life skill because you use it in
True.
every aspect, whether you're a
True.
founder, a startup owner, or even a mother trying to
Yeah.
sell eating carrots to her child and telling the child that you need to eat more carrots because your eyesight will improve. So everywhere selling is involved, everywhere, like you said, negotiating is involved, and
Yeah.
that's where we want to position sales as a life skill too.
True, true. No, agree, Chitra. And like you said, right, when we are building something, women so confidently build the product, then why shy out from selling it, right? I mean, I'm
Absolutely.
sure they would be good at it because behind the scenes, I mean, it's high time that, and like you said, sales is considered, it's just associated with long hours, and things like that. More negative, it goes to a more negative connotation. And I think that's why a lot of women, like, don't break that boundary. And there's always a boundary. But so happy to see that, you are empowering women to get into more sales. Because when we talk of empowering women, otherwise, we talk of a lot of things. Like while I was at CW, we would talk of a lot of things like providing them business skills, networking, maybe technology support, among others. But this sales thing is something that is very nice. This
That
niche
is
that
not
you have
discussed,
chosen.
and that is not much discussed. In fact, nowadays you have
Exactly.
very glamorous names for salespeople, like growth specialists and growth
Yeah.
hackers and etc. etc. But ultimately,
Yeah.
it all boils down to the same thing, that
Sales.
you're a
Yeah.
seller, and say it with pride that I am a
True.
salesperson. Because like Nandini said, if you've developed the product, if you've invested so much of your time and effort into that product, obviously you will be able to sell that product most convincingly, because your belief
Exactly.
in the
Yeah.
product is more than your doubts. And that is
True.
what sales is all about: transfer of confidence from the buyer to the seller, so that they believe more
Yeah.
in your product than in their doubts. And who
Yeah.
best to do it than you, because you've developed the product. So you should be
Yeah.
the biggest ambassador or the cheerleader and the
Yeah.
biggest promoter of the product. That's my
Yeah.
firm belief. And if more people believe that, I'm sure that we wouldn't need the so-called growth specialists, etc., coming and telling us what to do.
Yeah.
Not that I don't want to put them out of business, but I'm
Yeah.
saying definitely we need to know how to lead from the front. It's the same thing
True.
like giving a man a fish, and then obviously he can eat for a day, and teach a man how to fish or a woman how to fish, because we are talking about Women's Day.
Yes.
And obviously she will eat for a lifetime. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's a skill basically. It's a skill that we must invest and learn about. And like Nandini, I think there's already a collaborative thing. And Nandini is building nice products, and you are talking about sales on how, there's
Yes, I
already,
think
we
you
can
should
see
reach out
some.
to Chitra and
Yeah, Nandini must have gotten some good tips
Good
from
idea.
Chitra already on
also
going.
adding to what Chitra said, we women
Yes,
are good in convincing people. And
yeah.
only thing is that we shy away from selling things.
Exactly. The word sales itself, I think, you don't even want it to be associated with your resume, or, very less people will come out and say that, women. So, yeah. So, Nandini, over to you, how has been your journey? Like, how was the shift from were you into a job before, were you doing a job before this? How did you decide to shift and choose entrepreneurship? The same I was telling Chitra about, you leave security, you leave a fixed pace, because obviously it's a very different world, right? Entrepreneurship, and it's a lonely journey, like Chitra was telling. So a
Well,
little bit on that.
for me, entrepreneurial bug bit me when I was in college. So I wanted to do something on my own from college days, but I never got that
Okay.
support. Everyone were like, I want a secure job. I don't want to take that risk and all this
Yeah.
thing. In those days, say some 10, 15 years back when we were in college, there were not many startups and not many
Yeah.
companies. What only we could see is Infosys, Wipro, only those brands which are coming up. And all of that was set by men, not by women. Of course,
Yeah.
Infosys was set by uh, Sudha Murthy, but then that
The leading.
they were
Yeah.
not leading it. Some for me, from college days, wanted to innovate something, contribute something in technology and so on. So it is there from those days. But
Yeah.
I could find a right product or a right kind of co-founders to work with. Co-founders are very, very important to find who can align
Yes.
with you to build the product.
Yes.
And not every idea we can sell. It's only how we can productize to the market and what it is required and the timing. Everything should fall in place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what happened in this pandemic. I saw so many people. Everybody knows what happened in pandemic, and you don't have to tell people who are dying and all these things. So then I started thinking, always this zeal, this aspiration was there from me from college days. Then why don't I contribute something in technology, which I learned from my previous companies? I worked in many companies like Dell, Cisco, Philips, and so on. I
Yeah.
learned how products are built. And then if
Yeah.
I've learned that, why don't I contribute in the healthcare, which can be beneficial for humankind, right? So
True.
that's how it inspired me, and I met my co-founders and started building this.
Okay. Very nice, Nandini. And I think, yeah, health and tech, right? I mean, that can be world changing. I mean, So very good to know. So Chitra, coming back to you, I would I was thinking if we could, now we know about what you guys do, and it's been some time you guys are doing that, building wonderful products and solutions. But tell me something, one or two instances about a customer experience or a customer, instance that you would like to share. Like I would not, I mean, I'm not sure if you call them customers for you, but I'm just using the word, your targets, like, an experience that you remember, like, from the time you have started, one or two that you would like to share.
Yeah, so you call them members, like you were saying, customers.
Members, yeah,
But
yeah,
interestingly, so I do view my members as my customers, right? Because
customers,
ultimately
yes,
they are the ones who will purchase or buy the
true,
services of
true,
the
true,
community.
yeah,
So yeah, I remember that initially when we had started our networking meets, it was all virtual because of
yeah,
what Nandini had mentioned that during the
yeah,
pandemic everything was virtual, and
virtual, yeah,
slowly we moved towards in-person networking meets. And the first time we did that in Bangalore, about 15 women showed up. And one of them, in fact, told me later that for so many years she had not found her voice, because she was a homemaker and
okay,
she used to assist her husband in his business, but somehow never found the voice to say anything. He took all the
yeah,
decisions, he controlled the money. So,
yeah,
though she was assisting him and looking after administration, she was
yeah,
not in control of anything. And
yeah,
then she joined this community to learn sales, and
yeah,
finally she says she found her voice. I found that really touching because a person who
yeah,
had been silent for so long, and now if you look at her on LinkedIn, of course I don't want to mention her name. She's a financial advisor. She's doing her
oh,
own webinar today online
oh,
on
okay, lovely,
financial planning and how women can plan for their finances and how much money they need to set aside. She's
oh,
actually
wow,
IRDA
yeah,
certified. And that's the level of confidence she's
yeah,
got now, and that's how long
yeah,
she's progressed in her journey. When you see such stories and you share such stories, it's really heartwarming, and it gives all of us
obviously,
the confidence and conviction that yes, we are on the right path. So all the
yeah,
encouragement I get from the members of the community. In fact, one of them I see here, Devaki is here,
oh,
and
okay,
all the encouragement I get from them and support is what keeps me going. So
yeah,
sometimes you
it validates your work, right? Yes,
and
yes,
very interestingly, you mentioned about customers. I think one important part of an entrepreneur's learning is that we need to constantly experience the journey from the customer's point of view, which means
true,
whether you're signing
true,
in or whether you're getting into your
yeah,
website and filling up a form, because often what you think is the journey is not actually their journey. And when you
exactly,
experience it as a customer, you get insights, which can then
true,
help you pivot or change the
yeah,
experience. It is easier for the customer to buy. Most of the
yeah,
time, we focus on making it
yeah,
easier for us to sell. But I
yeah,
think focus should be on the customer, which means making it easier for the customer to
true,
buy. That has
true,
been my guiding philosophy that let me make it easier for the customer to find me
yeah,
and buy my services rather than the other way around, where it's easier for me to sell. It's never easy to sell, but
yeah.
often our processes are inward focused. They need to be customer
Yeah,
focused.
yeah, yeah, true. Because I think, whenever we are building something, I think obviously we'll like it, right? I mean, we think it's the best. I mean, why? And then
Yes.
you do a lot of research and you find out. But then, like you said, to see it from a customer's point of view, because they are the end users, right? And that's who we are building for. And ultimately, this is business. I mean, it has to work. And so when you are building from their point of view and pivoting and iterating your product, I think that's always, I mean, that's the way to go, right? That's the
Yes.
way to go.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Chitra. Thanks. There were some very key things that you mentioned and interesting. Thank you. Nandini, your take on this, any instance of, a customer meeting, a customer experience, or a customer story that you'd like to share with us?
Oh, definitely. First thing is that the product, I should be my own customer first. I should be able to use
Yeah,
it for myself, and I should see
yeah,
what are the pain points, whether it is useful for me first, right?
yeah,
That's what I said when I lost my mom. I saw the entire healthcare process where there were
yeah.
gaps. So then that is my belief. Then I
True.
go test it out with others.
Mhm.
So we did a market survey with 12 hospitals, and each
Okay.
hospital I went had a different story, and they were like, I got goosebumps because so much of technology can be added. So I went to Columbia Asia one day, and they were telling that when somebody meets with an accident on the road, from that time to shifting them to the hospital in the ambulance, there's so much of data which is lost because On the other side, doctors have to prepare themselves to receive that person. But
Yeah.
there's no information from the spot to the hospital. The whole thing is, they call it a golden hour, and they said, can you add some technology where we can send relay
Yeah.
the data live? And I was like, that can save a lot of lives. So
True.
so much of contribution we can make in small things which we don't even think of. So first, what we do is we assume that this product, I face this problem, and I start building that, and then I go validate it with someone else, and I see
Yeah.
that there are more problems to solve. Then you come back to the whiteboard, and then you productize things, and then you build a product on it, and then you go back again and then test it how it is, and then you get the feedback, and it's an iterative process for product
Yeah.
building.
Yeah. True. True. So here, Nandini, let me just follow it up, since we are talking about this thing. So tell me one person. So this journey hasn't been an easy one, I'm sure. It's not easy for anyone. And I would not just say for entrepreneurs, I mean, different professions, right? The professional journey is not very easy. I mean, there are hurdles in every kind of profession, but entrepreneurship is even more, you need people to support you at different stages, so that you can do what you are aspiring to do or build what you're aspiring to build. So who would be that one person, you would want to, might be a personal relationship, a professional relationship, who has helped you, in this journey, like who has been an enabler for you to become who you are today?
Well, yes, definitely. I would say my other co-founder, who is Saif Naik, who is
Okay.
my friend from past 15 years. I've learned a lot of things from him. When I had this aspiration to start a company on my own, I did not know
Yeah.
there were like angel funding, VC funding, and all these things. So he's a well-read guy, and
Yeah.
he's been a topper in college in computer science, and then he has done his master's in AI and all from Georgia Tech, and plus he's
Yeah.
also MBA from IMB. There's a lot of knowledge to gain from him, and plus he has exited to startup before this. I was lucky enough to get him as a friend and to learn a
Yeah.
lot of things from him. So
Yeah.
that's how I sit with him, and I understand how he built his previous product or previous startups. How did they scale? How did they productize and so on? So it gives me a lot of inputs, and then based on that input, I started building this.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. And I think, yeah, right. We do talk nowadays. The discussion also is a lot about how important is a co-founder. You
Yes.
should, but it's also not easy, to find a co-founder. I mean, it's a process, right? There's so many things that has to match, and we see more. I mean, that's again another story. I mean, we can have an entire
I would
discussion on
say this.
how to find the right co-founder. I think.
Yeah, I would say
On
this is again. It's a. I have two founders here.
Yeah,
So again it's a marriage, right? It's
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
corporate marriage, I would say,
Yeah.
especially finding a
The right
co-founder who's
person. Yeah.
aligned with you. Also,
Yeah.
like how you look for your matrimonial proposals, it's the same way you have to look for your co-founder, because there
Yeah.
will be a hell lot of conflicts because each person thinking is different, and they
True.
have their own ideas, their conflicts, their fights. There's so many things happening, but still to have that consistency of going
The
along
vision,
with
I
things,
think. Yeah. Yeah.
it's very difficult. And the person who so I learned one lesson from my previous manager where I worked, where first thing is that I work with attitude of people, not with the aptitude, because if they have the right attitude, they'll pick up the aptitude. But
Yeah.
if they have
They'll
the
get the
wrong
skills.
attitude and still have a right attitude, it's very tough to work. So first
Yeah.
priority is always for the attitude and the aptitude. So right attitude person who is aligned with your attitude matters a lot.
Yeah. True. I think there are certain skills, we would look at maybe while, because it should be complementary, because how people say, right? But then again, like you said, the attitude is very important, especially in a time like this, where a lot of things have moved into a hybrid model. Before you could meet people, now you have to like remote work with them or work in a hybrid setup. Then attitude, all these things, the person more than the skills come first. And then, because a person can always adapt, learn the skills, but if that adaptive thing is not there, I mean, it gets difficult, to sustain an organization or to go ahead. So Chitra, same question to you. Who has been that, support in your life, who has helped you, like being an enabler to where you are today? Like,
Many people, I think it started with my father, because I was always a very, very talkative child, and everybody used to, laugh at me and say that,
Yeah.
oh my God, she's a chatterbox. I was called chatterbox Chitra for such a long time. And my father was the one who kept encouraging me and saying that your voice will be your ticket to success, because you're such an
Oh,
intelligent child and you talk so much of sense. And see, his words came true, because
yeah, that's a
in sales,
beautiful
it is
line. Yeah.
yeah, it is your talk and your speech and your ability to, of course, listen and converse
Yeah.
with the customer, which gives you success in sales. And so, whether it was coincidence or luck, whatever you say, his words influenced me. He was my first mentor. And after that, during my corporate life, also, I was lucky enough to get several mentors, all of whom were men who believed that success
Yeah.
and promotions are not a function of gender. They are a function of
True.
merit and competence. So they
True.
gave me roles which were unheard of. For example, I was the first salesperson to become a branch manager in ICICI Bank, because someone that is my mentor
Yeah.
trusted
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
with it. I was the first, again, salesperson to be made branch manager and get a promotion in the year my child was born. Because normally women say their ratings suffer and their salaries
True.
suffer in
True.
the year
True.
they take maternity leave. But I didn't have any such problem. I was given a promotion, I was given a branch head role, and I was given an increment. So that, why does that come? Because there is this one
Yeah.
person who believes in you, and all these are different
True.
people I'm talking about at different stages.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it is my firm belief everybody needs a mentor, and that
True.
mentor is that one person who believes in you and who encourages you at every step. Like she also talked about her co-founder, and that
Yeah.
belief
Yeah.
which that mentor has sometimes makes you do things which you never even imagined. And that can
Yeah.
make all the difference between success and failure. And as a founder,
No. Yeah.
again, because you're lonely, you need a co founder. She's right about it. But I was not lucky enough to find somebody who, with the same values, attitudes, beliefs, and
Yeah. Yeah.
aspirations. And that is why I'm still, on the lookout. So anybody who knows, you can say
Yes,
I'm
certainly. I mean, this can be a perfect
co-founder
platform.
matrimony.com or whatever it is
Yeah.
called. Find a
In fact,
co-founder.com.
we did try a co-founder mixer, like find your co-founder 2 years back, where but still, it's a struggle. I would say there are a lot of people looking, and there are a lot of people wanting to be co-founders, but then that bridge, it's a bridge. I mean, it's still a lot of
I'm
like,
still
but
looking.
Nandini is one of the lucky ones. Touchwood, who has
Yeah.
found,
Yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. So I'm still
And
looking.
Chitra, like, yes, so we'll maybe someday do a session on co-founders, and invite
Absolutely.
people from both the ends to network here at
Sure.
Vidphone. Yeah, so but Chitra, true, this is also a shout out to all the men, who has supported women in their journeys, and in different points,
Absolutely.
like because like we said, and we also, it doesn't mean like a gender should not, when we say gender inclusive, it should be from both sides, right? I mean, it's not that only women can be supporting women, so it's also really I mean, different people might have different experiences, but it's good to know the experience you had. So, going back, going forward now, we have heard about what you guys do, what's been happening, who has been the driving force and on your journey. Now, a little bit, let's come to the challenges, I think, because, that's again important, because I'm sure there are lots of challenges, and that you tackle every day on a day-to-day basis, but there might be some, that are on the top of your head when I even said the word challenges, I'm sure. So maybe you would like to, share with us 2 to 3 challenges that you feel like, it's there. It just might not be personal, even if it's not personal, as a community, if you feel like there's a challenge, and if you have done something, or, on the way to do something to overcome that. So I think it will be we'd love to know about that.
Yeah. Would you like to go first, Nandini?
Yeah, sure. The very first challenge is, convincing people about your own idea. And that for that, you should have the right sales skills, like as Chitra was talking about, right? So we should be able to sell our own product.
Yeah.
So I think we should pick up that first,
Yeah.
because we have to convince not only to us, to our co-founders, to all the resources who will be working with your team members and so on. That's the
Yeah.
first thing you do to your own team members, right? That
Yeah.
selling your own product, your idea to them, and they build it from there. And that's the first challenge. And to find the right resources who can build it is the second challenge.
True.
And third is the right uh, people who can sell the product. who's aligned and who actually are equally passionate and believe in your idea to sell that product, not just for the money. And
Yeah.
this if all these three are in place, then you're a winner. And
Yeah.
it's very, very, very difficult to find all this.
A balance, yeah, a balance. So it's a constant struggle, right? But I'm sure, all of us, I mean, have different ways to deal with these things. And Nandini, would you here like to share a little bit about, like you mentioned, the three challenges on how on a day-to-day life you maybe take some steps, maybe one to two things you do to really, tackle these.
First thing, even to get the team member, as I said, first thing I look at their aptitude and then the attitude as well. So first thing I'll ask them. I'm more transparent when I'm hiring or when I'm setting a team. I'll tell them this is what it is. Do you believe in this idea? Only when you believe in this idea and you can take the risk along with me, then you join me.
Yeah.
Okay. And otherwise, you're looking only for money or you're looking for a checkered job. No, this is not the place to be in. If you're able to take the risk along with me to sell, to build this product, please come along. And there are people who say, yes, I believe this product. So as I said, first thing I'm doing is I'm selling it to my own team members. And then when they convince and they join, then I will have to convince more to build it according to whatever we co-founders would have discussed and so on. That's hiring is the first challenge, and that's what I do. Hiring the right attitude people in the team. The second one is finding the right people to sell that. Again, it's a challenge to find who understand the core value, what you're providing to your customer, who believes in that value. If they don't believe, and only if they say that, no, I just need money, I'm joining for a job, I would like to sell this, if they're not putting their heart in that, and I don't think they'll be able to sell. So to find that right people who can put their heart in is a very tough job.
Yeah. No, true. I mean, it's like there's so much happening also, right? It's very easy for people to lose focus and jump from one place to another if they don't have that, if they don't share the vision, basically. I mean, and I'm not saying that it would, come immediately. It's a process again, I mean, today. So it's that vision that you as a founder also, I mean, there's a lot of stress and a lot of responsibility on you to build that vision and build a company culture so that the hiring, it's not just about hiring one person, right? Today you're hiring one, tomorrow it might be 10. So I mean, it's building the culture. And very good to know, Nandini, that
it's a process where first thing is that we sell to the team sells to the salesperson, the salesperson sells to the customer, and customer sells to their family members and so on. Then yes, it's a winner. So it's like continuous process of
it's a pipeline. It's a pipe. It starts there. Yeah. Thanks, Nandini. Thanks for those inputs. Chitra, over to you. What do you think?
So I found a similar problem, that as you grow in scale, maintaining the consistency and authenticity of your brand voice and values becomes really very, very challenging, because as the number of stakeholders increases and as scale increases, more and more people are involved, whether it is employees, shareholders, investors, partners, and collaborators, and constantly communicating your brand values and your brand messaging to them and maintaining its authenticity and consistency is what I found difficult. And that's what goes a long way in building the values and the culture of the organization. So it is important for us to constantly, first of all, define what are your brand values and what is your brand messaging. After that, articulate it clearly to all other stakeholders, and then keep communicating it at regular intervals so that the consistency and authenticity is maintained. Second is, keeping track of your purpose or your why. I've started this community to have maximum impact, which means I want to reach as many women as possible, keeping costs reasonable. At the same time, the community has to be sustainable. So it's a constant balancing act between keeping our pricing reasonable to impact more women, to increase reach, as well as be sustainable, be viable. To remain in this business. So it's a constant balancing act, and sometimes you wonder whether you can really be making profits at all, and that is a journey which starts only after a year. So my advice to budding entrepreneurs is that the first 12 months may be tough. It may not even look like you're going to make money, but in 12 months usually either businesses shut down or you get that one brilliant idea which then translates into revenue for your product or service. For example, I started speed mentoring, and
Mhm.
that was 20 minutes and free. And so many people came back and said it was so useful for them that now we've
Yeah,
launched different types of mentoring. For example, group
yeah,
mentoring, one-on-one, power mentoring. For businesses and startup
yeah,
founders, we have business mentoring and so on. So from that
yeah.
one idea, where I said I want to reach maximum women and I announced it on LinkedIn, this came in. So if you're going to ask me
True.
about the challenges, what I told you about maintaining the consistency of your brand values and voice,
Yeah,
constantly remaining true to your purpose as you
yeah.
scale and grow, and remaining focused on your end
True.
goal and your and believing in your product despite these initial setbacks. And I
Yeah,
can assure everybody who's here, who's listening as an entrepreneur, that after 1 year, definitely you will get that brilliant idea if you have
yeah.
enough belief and focus, and stay true to your original purpose. That idea will come, and but that breakthrough, during that time you need to have the self belief to
Patience,
continue to
patience.
have
Yeah,
patience and belief in yourself to continue moving forward
yeah,
on the.
yeah. Yeah. So I think that's what one thing is about finding the right people, but the second thing is also about retaining that, right? Retaining those in the form of your stakeholders or your employees or everything. So also, and today's world, you have to really be empathetic also, like, towards everyone. That is the only way to move ahead. Because I think collaboration is the way to move ahead, right? Like with the community, like taking a community together. So here's Chitra, you have been talking about community and you have built a beautiful community. So obviously, I had my next question was a little bit about the importance of a community. One part is selling your product. I mean, that's another thing. That's the second part, I would still say. The first part is, how do you build that community to whom you can even think of selling, or who believes in your product, or just even if you're not selling to them, just to build a community where you can discuss challenges, collaborate, and move ahead. So what are your views, on building a community, on entrepreneurs being a part of communities, on entrepreneurs actively, building communities for themselves? And so,
So certain words are words which are very important, especially to
yeah,
women. One is
yeah,
acceptance.
yeah,
Second is belonging, and third
yes,
is safety. That is, you
yeah,
you feel safe. And fourth is
mm,
heard. So
true,
acceptance, belonging, safety, heard. If we put all these three or four words together,
together,
you understand that is what they want from a community. They want a community
yeah,
which accepts them, where there's no
yeah,
judgment, no censure. They feel safe enough. They
yeah,
can speak, and they feel heard, acknowledged, and
heard,
appreciated.
yeah,
And to
yeah,
build
yeah,
that, I think the founder or the community preneur, as I call that person, or community nurturer,
yeah,
because I don't think we build communities, we nurture them like we nurture our
exactly,
children or our families.
yeah,
So
yeah,
community preneur needs to be completely focused on nurturing the community by himself or herself in the beginning. I did not have
yeah,
a community manager, I still don't have. So a lot of
yeah,
the
yeah,
engagement and participation I do with the community, and that's what builds credibility and trust. So as you know, in
yeah,
sales we talk about know, like, trust. So
yeah,
initially, for the community members or the public to get to know you, you have to be visible on all social media. So I started
yeah,
posting every day on LinkedIn, and
yeah,
all my members are organically, they have joined. That is, they have
yeah,
come through LinkedIn after seeing my posts or hearing about me on LinkedIn.
yeah,
So the first thing is
yeah,
getting more and more people to be aware and know you. The second thing is through your posts, through your content, your interactions with them, and your comments, they get to like you. And
true,
finally, they get to the point of trust. So the no, like, trust, what we say
true,
that. And now I think after a year and a half, I can safely say that. And since one of my members is here, you can ask her that, do they trust me? And I'm 100% sure they trust. And that's when you don't need to sell your product or service, it sells itself.
yeah, yeah,
Because of the fact that the customer is pulled to you or the member is pulled to you and your
yeah,
services, because of
true,
the trust and the sense of belonging they feel. So I think these heard, acknowledged, trust, safety, these are all very important words when we are trying to build a community. The second thing, of
true,
course, is that you maintain the confidentiality of the
yeah,
information, which goes
yeah,
without saying, in order to make them feel safe. Which is
safe,
why I
yeah,
take the name of the member also, who I was talking about initially. Even when I write it on LinkedIn, I do not take their names unless they give me
yeah,
permission. So maintaining
yeah,
that confidentiality is also important.
important, yeah, Yeah.
And the third, of course, is never straying from your original purpose. Like, I'll give you an example. One of my mentors came back and said that, listen, we are, focusing on niche, only women. That is why participation in our workshops is low. Why don't we open it up to public men? I have X number of followers who are men. Why don't we get
Yeah.
them in, and so on?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
when, somebody else reminded me. I was thinking, and then she said, listen, the basic philosophy of the community was that we want to help and reach out to more women, which is
Yes.
why we have kept the prices reasonable, and we are offering our services as mentors at a much lower
Yeah.
cost than what we would get in the market. So let's not stray from the original purpose of
Yes.
an objective of the community. That's hard, sometimes challenging. You're tempted to stray, but getting back on course is what all of us require to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
remain on
No,
course.
that's a very valid point, I think, and in this journey, such so long and so lonely, like you were saying. At one point, it gets lonely, right? It's
Yes.
very easy to deviate or get distracted, like
Yes.
when, especially at a time when you might not be making revenues, or you might not be seeing, like, to lose that, to feel that vision might the vision might feel a little blurred, but to
Blurred.
stay there and to, I mean,
Hang on. Yeah. You
light
need to.
at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, believe in the concept of that is like, yeah. So Nandini, what would be your, on community, importance of communities, like, what, as an entrepreneur, obviously every business needs its community, but I also mean, and as an entrepreneur, how helpful has collaborations and communities been for
It's
you?
very, very important because we tend to learn from others' failures. That's
Yeah.
very important because
Yeah.
if I will not do that mistake again, right? So it's very important to share their learnings, and that's why community is very, very important for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in that, when we attend a lot of events and a lot of networking events, it's not that we find a lot of quantity people, not a quality people, and to bump into a person who can share that knowledge with you is very
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah.
But in case you find that, you can gain a lot.
True. True. Quantity, yeah, and that's true. Quality over quantity, right? Because everyone has some agenda, but to find that person who you can connect to is very important. But yeah, so lovely, Chitra and Nandini. I think we have had some great conversations, around your journeys, around some key things like the challenges, importance of community, diversity in the workplace, everything. So here, maybe we'll open up to a few questions. We are almost at 45. Before the questions, one last question to both of you, and then we can just relate and ask the audience to share their views or any questions they have. We all know that the world has been, it went to remote and then now it's coming back to hybrid. So what are the tools, because tools have been very important in all our lives, some tools, some tech. So how have you been able to navigate the hybrid working, scenario, and how have you handled it, like the hybrid working? What are your suggestions on that? Any thoughts? Or any thoughts? I mean, it need not be suggestions. Any thoughts? How have you done it? Like,
Yeah, it's all been remote now, right? So video conferencing is very, very important. I think
yeah,
Vidphone has done a great job there,
yeah,
creating this video platform. Apart from that, collaborating like Trello, there are, even Google Sheets and, your Google
yeah,
platform is also very, very helpful, as simple as
yeah.
that. Many,
Hmm.
many platforms are there. But yes, we all should be aware of all the collaborative tools,
Yeah,
we need to explore a lot of them, and you have to use which suits you,
true.
your organization, because there are
Yeah,
many things out there, but
true.
something which is very handy and very fast, you can track things and all, is very important.
Yeah,
So I use for communication, probably it is with phone, and for others like Google Documents, or Google Sheets, or even Trello to track the activities is what we use currently.
yeah,
That's the only
yeah.
basic what we use.
Yeah. So it's very important, even I feel, to invest in the right tools. Many entrepreneurs don't think early on. I mean, obviously, there might be, like Nandini said, it might be two things you'd more important at this stage. But early on, if you invest in the right tool, it just makes your job easier. With especially if you're a small team, it just helps you optimize, right? If you have everything within one platform and for you. Yeah. Chitra, your thoughts on this?
I agree entirely with you that investing in tech right at the initial stages simplifies the process later on for you. For example,
Yeah,
I have automated all the mailers, I have automated all the event bookings, or
yeah,
automated all the payments online. Right in the beginning,
yeah,
I tied up with a payment partner,
yeah,
set up the website, and everything from end to end, including the booking and allotting slots to the
yeah,
mentees, as well
yeah.
as the payments. It's seamless and it's all online.
True,
Uh,
true,
so that way, if you invest in tech very early on, it makes the process easy for you.
easier.
A lot of people hesitate to invest, thinking that, oh, it's an
True,
unnecessary investment. And
true,
when it comes to sales itself, I feel less is better rather
yeah,
than, because
yeah,
you need to simplify your tech stack, and you
true,
need to only use tools which are going to really be helpful in terms of saving time and
yeah,
effort for the salesperson, because as you
yeah,
know, CRMs
yeah,
were introduced maybe about 10 years back, but they didn't get popular because of the amount of data the salesperson had to feed
yeah,
in, and they
yeah,
were only as good as the data they fed, which was nothing. Which
yeah,
was
yeah,
nothing. We didn't do anything, including
yeah,
me. So
yeah,
one knows that you can have all the tech in the world, but if you don't
yeah,
simplify it, and if it's not
true.
relevant to your organizational requirement and your team, it will never fly. So
Never, exactly,
my
yeah,
advice again is less is more. So keep relevant tech, simplify tech, so that it's more easy to adopt to and adapt to for
yeah,
the people in your organization. And that is why I gave the example of the sales CRM itself. And now you have bots, etc., which can actually convert speech into
yeah,
text and
yeah,
input
yeah,
that
yeah,
data for you.
yeah,
So we
yeah,
can use all these
exactly, yeah,
bots on the website, bots in order to feed these robos in
true,
order to actually take
yeah,
over so many of the manual repetitive processes, right? So
yeah,
we
yeah,
have
yeah,
all these so that we can focus on processes which really require a human being
true,
to
true,
interact with the customer. And
yeah,
also in terms of calls, etc. Again, we have AI
yeah,
being used in order to pick
yeah.
up the emotional responses of the customer from their voices in the calls.
Hmm.
Am I frozen? Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, we can hear you. A little,
Am I
your
audible?
video. Yeah, yeah, you are audible. Just the video has gone off a little, but we can see you. It's a little
I think,
blurred. The network, yeah, it might be
yeah,
a
I
network
think
issue.
everything was. I was,
Yeah. No, that's lovely to know, Chitra, and completely
yeah.
agree. In fact, because we work with so many tech companies, right? At NASCOM also, like we see so much tech happening, and we really think, and at Vidphone also, what we are working on is the idea is really that it should be useful to the people using it. I mean, we can build a lot of things, but ultimately, if it's not really useful, it doesn't make sense, right? There might be a lot of things. So that's how we also are consciously trying to build products that can actually make your journey easier as an entrepreneur or as an enterprise. That's what, like you're talking about bots, or you talked about CRM. We have something called the video CRM. So all these things, like, we feel has a lot of scope. And obviously, we can collaborate. Entrepreneurs should collaborate and move ahead and use the right tools. So here, Nandini and Chitra, let's take a few questions. If anyone has any questions, maybe, or anything to share, please feel free to put it on
Yeah.
the group. Yeah, we have a few comments here. Yes, I have enabled the please do.
Yes.
Hi,
Now,
Jagat. Yeah.
hi, guys. Some fantastic conversation. I mean, I had a couple of questions that I wanted to ask, so if I could just butt in.
Not able to hear very
Yes.
well. I don't know whether.
Can you hear me
Uh,
now? Good.
I can hear. I think Chitra is having some issue. Chitra, can you hear us?
Maybe if you could refresh the page, maybe it's like
Yeah.
overheated or something. But
No,
yeah, I
I
won't
can't
be
hear, but I'm switching off my camera just to.
Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah.
sure. No, wonderful conversation. Just wanted to,
Okay.
thank both of you
Yeah.
for, getting on and sharing your thoughts. Nandini, I mean, we bump into each other so much, but I've heard a lot today, and that's like wonderful, right? I mean, your whole mission, and that's why always with Skydoc as well. I think
Yeah.
any areas where you need some support, like we're happy to waive off a few months if you want to go ahead. I've always told you this before, so
Yeah.
get that thing going, and I'm happy to push that out.
Yeah.
So, I want to ask you, what are the challenges? In terms of not challenges, but in terms of ecosystem support. Now, healthcare. So recently we were at some public hospitals here doing some tests. We have some very very innovative things around Charaka, our
Yeah.
healthcare app as well. I think right, like the remote vitals monitoring and all that. So in terms of what the ecosystem, like what can they do for you, right? Suppose you wanted like 2 3 things right now. So what would those be?
First is the investment. And second one would be the resources, right resources for building the product what we're building. And third is the right community or the right leaders or mentors who can share their learnings from the healthcare. So those three would be like very very crucial.
The investment, resources, and mentors slash leaders, right?
You're right.
So I think investment, let's start doing something around that then. I mean, that it's critical to start moving around those lines. We've been speaking about these things for a while, but we'll start something where we could, look something at investment. People can invest, crowd fund and have
Trust.
some system of, crowd fund and have some system of, allocating equity or financial rewards, based on, that equity CCPS or
Yes, that's
whatever
a
kind of
brilliant idea.
format, right? So I think then resources. So what do you mean by resources? Like manpower or tools or what's it like?
Both.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Sorry,
even
that's
it's
my
very
son in the background, but yeah.
so it's very difficult to find even right resources right in the tech and in non-tech field as
Yeah,
well. So if that is accessible easily to us through NASCOM or through the community, that's very very helpful.
yeah. No, I think enable that. So I think it's basically putting it out, like giving a easy way, a structured way in product development, right? To kind of sum up the issue. And I've seen this with a lot of people as well. It's about having a systemic way for product development. How do I kind of get a product out onto the app store or the Play Store, the website? So I would say it's tech, product slash tech, right? To be specific. Right, Nandini? I think so.
Yeah.
Investment, so product slash tech, and then we look at mentors and leaders, which is like I think mentoring and coaching and stuff like that, where you have office hours and things. So I think we work on these things. I think that's critical.
Yeah.
Ayushree as well. So yeah, this
Yeah.
is direct input, and I think
Yeah.
we were talking. Vijita and I remember, like ecosystem point of view, we were talking about something like called Vid
Yeah.
Tank, or actually it was called Snake Pit, right? It was on the lines of Shark Tank. But it was something a
Yeah.
lot more crowdfunded called Snake Pit. So things like this, I think, but there's a legal standpoint. There's a lot of complications around angel tax as well, and all of
Yes.
this stuff. So there are always some kind of roadblocks that you have
Technical
to go through,
glitches.
Yes.
and technical glitches as well. So
Because I
there's
vanished and
governance.
then I appeared. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but good to
Yeah.
have you back. We were just chatting about some of the key things that,
Yeah.
or from an ecosystem point of view, what would be great to Nandini, right? So that's what I was asking. So of course, investment, resources, which we put
Resources.
down to tools and team, or more specifically, product or tech, right? Getting the products out, and mentors and leaders. So Chitra, if you could share three, if you had to ask three magic things from the community, what would those be?
Yeah, of course, investment, because in order to scale and grow, you need that. Second is the right co-founder, which I mentioned very
Right.
Yeah. We
initially in
had a
the conversation.
discussion.
The person with the right values, attitudes, beliefs, and
Yeah.
aspirations for the community. One who believes so strongly in supporting women to achieve success in sales. So first is investment. Second is right
Co-founder.
co-founder, and third is in terms of help in terms of business development, because right now I'm doing all of it together. So if I find a good person, which is quite a big ask, a good salesperson who can take over that part, uh,
or a technology that can handle that. Either
Yeah.
or a
two or three
technology that can do that, absolutely, you can, which can take the initial part of selling off from me, the
Sure.
discovery and those kind of activities,
Yeah.
um, as well as the proposaling and so much of the
Not the
email
repetitive
on. Yeah, if that is
Yeah.
thing.
done by someone else, or a tech, then that is obviously easier for me.
Super awesome.
True.
Now these are important because in terms of
Yeah.
how we want to kind of actually give the tools, and I tell the team and I tell Ayushree as well sometimes, like there's a lot of mentors and support systems, and I'm part of NASCOM, TI, STPI, and all of this stuff. But can I have a technology that for me as a entrepreneur, like I need to do a few things, right? I need to generate leads at the top of the funnel. I need to be able to nurture them through a sale or and have a product or service
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that I offer. So can we put that onto a screen? Is one of the things that baffles me, because then, like Chitra, along with selling, a goal of ours also is to empower a million entrepreneurs who do 10K a year, right? Not $1 million business. If I do $10,000, I'm good. I'm 8 lakhs per annum. So can we do that at scale in the rural areas? And
Sure.
how would it look? So really nice to get those inputs from both Chitra and Nandini, because the
Yeah.
investment then becomes like something that is very important. We have to work towards an NFT based, in terms of video pitching and raising funds. So that becomes
Yeah.
very super. Thanks. I got my 2 cents out of my question. So over to anybody
We have
else.
some questions here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we'll get some
Uh,
question.
Yes. One question is from Megha, I suppose, and it's to you, Chitra. She wants to know a little on negotiating. So, Megha, would you like to come in or put your question?
So can they come on video or can they simply?
Yeah, they can raise their hand and we can, let them in.
Oh, you
Uh,
can. Okay. I think she's typed her question. So
yeah,
Super.
just,
she typed her question on how to be a good negotiator. She wants to.
yes,
One
yes,
more click and then she's live.
yeah,
Right now she's visible to Ayushree, and now there's Megha.
yeah. I had let her, but I think she went off again. But yeah, we'll just let Megha in. Not sure why she's trying to come in, but she has just. I think there's some issue on her side. Like I can see her, but she's
We
going
can
off.
actually answer her question. I'm sure she's
Yeah, yeah. You can continue
like,
answering either ways.
yeah,
Yeah,
and if she's
and then
able to join us because we know the question, no point in holding back
yes,
the viewers. We don't have too much
yeah,
time. So
true.
just to answer very quickly, she's asked, which can probably we cannot answer in a minute or two, but
Yeah,
I will
yeah,
do my best. The first thing as a negotiator you have to be aware of and be able to demonstrate the value you're bringing. So being able to showcase, demonstrate that value. Can you all hear me?
yes, Chitra, we can.
Because everybody's frozen. So you have to know the value you are
Yeah,
bringing and you have to be able to showcase and demonstrate that value. Because very rarely negotiations succeed when you commoditize your product or talk about price. So know your value, be able to showcase it. Also, very important part of negotiation is to know when to walk away. That is, which is your deal breaker or walk away point. Because some deals you just cannot close. Out of 100 customers, there will definitely be 60% who are going to be a status quo or not going to take a decision, and out of those 20% will go to competition. So you have to know which are those deals which are not going to work for you, which are not viable, and then you have to leave that. And the third thing I would say is that if there is, people keep talking about win-win in negotiation, but there is also there's something called BATNA, which is best alternative to a negotiated agreement. And see what is your BATNA and communicate that clearly to the customer, and then I'm sure you can work out on a viable solution. But most importantly, negotiation is power, right? And depending on who thinks in this game that they hold more power, that person walks away, so called, with the better part of the deal. And that is why it's important to ask questions during discovery. So in the beginning of a call, my favorite line is that in the beginning of the call, when you're opening the conversation with the customer, ask open-ended questions, and at the end of the call, ask close-ended questions, so that you get a decision or you reach a settlement with the customer.
yeah. Thanks, Chitra. Thanks for that. And Megha, I think Chitra has wonderfully answered your question here. And like Chitra said, this is a big, huge discussion, right, on negotiations. Maybe sometime, Jagat, we can do an entire session on this and speak
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
people on this. Yeah, yeah. So I think with that, we don't have any more questions on the chat box yet. Anyone else? Any last question? We can maybe just take one last question. We're almost at uh, 7. So, any question we'll take, or there's something I want to share, you know, because we have been, and some of you might already know, we have been wanting to announce something, for our community as part of Women's Day. We have been thinking, how to give back to the community, really. And so we really wanted to announce a special offer. So I'm just 1 second. Jagat, would you be able to put it up here? I'm just, because, I just want you guys to see what we have. And, this will be live here for the next 10 minutes and also on our LinkedIn page. The first,
we could just post it there. I think we could just post it there.
Yeah. So please
do
visit our link. Yeah. So please do visit our LinkedIn page. Most of you are already following us. So please do see what we have for you. The first 10 entrepreneurs, women founders here who are following us on LinkedIn. We have something very special for you. I don't want to talk about it.
I think that's important to do. Yeah. Ayushree, so we were debating whether we should actually push this out because it's going to cost us a fair amount in server charges. But I thought it's important to do this. We just want to take whatever people are doing on Zoom or in terms of our competition, the whole webinar stack, or marketing automation, video CRM, live chat software, meeting software, you name it. We're just going to take everything in and we're going to take, put that free for a month. And that's really what I thought is a good opportunity for us to actually an alternative economy pretty much with all of the women who are Bloomberg and, how it's, I think India specifically. So I think we are okay to kind of, take that hit in terms of the technology charges, but if we could just subsidize all of this software, which I mean like even automated funnels, and funnel software costs like $99 upwards, probably about $200 to $250 per month is what out and automate a lot of these processes for the women entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So that's what we were thinking, we really, because how much ever we tell you about what we have planned this, and so please do go check out what we have. It's live on LinkedIn. So we just talks about from meetings to conch. So thank you, everyone.
Where do we go and where do we go and check that out on your website?
We have put LinkedIn.
You put a link?
It's on LinkedIn. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. We will email it to you, no problem, Chitra. We email it to you. So I'm really excited because we really want to bring, the highest level of automation and like, automating the top of the funnel, optimizing the nurturing process, conversion, payments. We just want to make it like one click, right? And I know it's a big ask, but I'm giving it a shot, and I'm sure we can all make it happen. So
yeah. So please do go follow our page, and it would be there, And any doubts you have, please reach out. Chitra, we all, we are a call away. So please reach out and let's connect. So thank you. With that, let's close. We have come to the end. Thank you so much, Nandini and Chitra, for again taking out this time to speak to everyone and sharing your journeys. Thanks, Jagat, for dropping by and
thank you so
talking
much
about everything.
Thank you for inviting us. We had a great time.
Same here. I had a great time chatting with you guys. And thank you to everyone who joined. Megha, Ankita, Chandni, Swati, Devaki. Thank you.
Community, not to take her for granted, but
you have put up a reply to that too. So yeah.
Okay.
So we are good, I think. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good evening. Bye.